The Developmental Disabilities Assistance and Bill of Rights Act is a federal law in the United States that provides funding and support to individuals with developmental disabilities. It was originally enacted in 1970 and has had several reauthorizations, most recently in 2014. The DD Act aims to promote and protect the rights of individuals with developmental disabilities and enhance their opportunities for independence, productivity, and community inclusion. It supports various programs and initiatives that focus on advocacy, research, training, projects of national significance, and service provision. States have the flexibility to determine how programs and initiatives will support these core indicators within the DD services they provide. The DD Act includes 6 key components for state service programs to receive federal funding. The dissemination of federal funding to states is determined by the compliance of their plan of action to incorporate these general key components within their services overseen by the DD Act. The DD Act defines a developmental disability as a significant and long-lasting disability that affects an individual's mental or physical functioning and has its onset before the age of 22. The DD Act includes both youth and adult populations within its eligibility criteria. Significant and long-lasting disability is a limitation in 3 or more areas of major life activities, which include self-care, language, learning, mobility, self-direction, independent living, and economic self-sufficiency. These 3 areas are determined upon an initial application and the annual eligibility renewal process for DD services. The DD Act program has made great strides for individuals with a DD diagnosis. However, there are areas for improvement that can address the unmet needs of program recipients. The unmet needs within the DD Act often include discrimination, oppression, and most notably abuse, neglect, and exploitation, which can be undetected within program service settings. It's urgent that we address the vulnerability of people with developmental disabilities to abuse. They are more susceptible for many reasons, including higher rates of isolation, which limit their access to people who can intervene, limited communication and cognitive abilities that affect their ability to report abuse effectively, and lastly, predators viewing them as easier targets. Abuse, neglect, and exploitation are constant dangers for people with developmental disabilities. They are 4 to 10 times more likely to be abused than their peers without disabilities. Additionally, people with disabilities are victims of nearly 1 million non-fatal violent crimes every year, including rape, sexual assault, aggravated and simple physical assault, and robbery. People with disabilities are also more likely to experience several less common forms of abuse. It is not uncommon for caregiver abuse to occur within service programs funded under the DD Act to go undetected. Caregiver abuse and neglect can be attributed to several factors, and individuals often experience it continuously, leaving the individual open to recurring traumatic implications. Strengthening the DD network through the expansion and coordination is critical. Expanding the DD Act to include specific regulations for the collaboration between CPS and APS services is crucial. This expansion can significantly increase the success rate of addressing abuse, neglect, and exploitation, offering hope for a better future. Providing consistent mandatory training For protective service employees to understand the difference between what abuse, neglect, and exploitation look like for members of the DD community, it is imperative to recognize the importance of mitigating risks and combating the social injustice often faced. Breaking down barriers is essential to combating abuse, neglect, and exploitation. It's crucial to address biased mindsets of devaluation that individuals with DD diagnoses face by community members. These mindsets include people with DD diagnoses being less human, less valuable, or do not contribute to society. This is a key step that helps increase the rate of community members reporting suspected events to protective services. Creating a mandate within DD Act to ensure effective strategies for advocacy organizations to improve community education is a cornerstone of addressing the critical need to reduce the alarming rates of abuse. The collective approach to addressing the unmet needs within the DD Act is a reflection of social workers' core values. By integrating social workers into the fight against abuse, neglect, and exploitation, we can create a community awareness and foster investment. This is key to the importance of speaking up for those who cannot speak for themselves. It encourages the communities to take action and support social workers in their advocacy work. Robert Hensley said, "There is no more significant disability than society's inability to see a person as more." And this statement provides powerful insight into the difference each of us can make in addressing the social injustice faced by this community. You make a difference in policy advocacy and combating the urgent epidemic of abuse, neglect, and exploitation within the DD community and service programs.